Okay. On the record in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Alejandro Perez Jovian. Council appearance.
Wayne Silverthorne on behalf of Alejandro Jovian.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, what is your first name, sir?
Davion.
Okay, Davion is the first name.
Fred.
Okay. Today's the date and the time that's scheduled for your arraignment. I have a felony warrant here and complaint. It alleges that on or about February 18th, 2024, at Martin Luther King and Jolly, City of Lansing, Ingham County, State of Michigan, that you did allegedly commit the act in count 1 of weapons carrying concealed. The allegations are that you did carry a dangerous weapon, to wit a pistol, whether concealed or otherwise, in a vehicle operated or occupied by said defendant, that being a silver Chrysler, and that this was contrary to the Michigan Compiled Law 750.227. Count 1 is a felony. Maximum penalty is 5 years in prison or $2,500 in fines, and a mandatory forfeiture of the weapon or device is required under the law. And the court shall order law enforcement to collect a DNA identification profiling sample before sentencing or disposition if not taken at arrest. Do you understand the charge and the maximum penalty?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and you have the right to be represented by counsel. Mr. Silverthorne from the Office of the Public Defender is here to represent you for the purposes of your arraignment only. You do have the right to be represented by counsel at each court appearance during the pendency of this criminal matter, and you have the right to be represented by counsel if you're questioned by law enforcement. If you cannot afford to hire an attorney, you can make a request to have the Public Defender's Office appointed to represent you at the expense of the public. Do you understand that, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Silverthorne, he's requesting court-appointed counsel.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and then Mr. Perez, you have the right to remain silent. Anything that you say and anything you put in writing can be used against you. You have the right to plead guilty. You can plead not guilty, or you can stand mute. If you stand mute, this matter will continue all the way to a trial. You have the right to a jury trial, but prior to trial, you have the right to have a preliminary examination because you are being charged with a felony. And you have the right to have that preliminary examination within 21 days of the date that you're arraigned. That timeline of 21 days can only be changed if you waive the timeline or if a court finds good cause to go beyond the 21 days. At the time of the preliminary examination, you have the right to require the prosecution put forth sufficient evidence to establish that they have probable cause that a crime was committed, and then probable cause sufficient to charge you with the crime alleged. Do you understand your rights so far?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you also have the right to a jury trial. You have the right to the presumption of innocence. So that means you're innocent until proven guilty. You have the right to remain silent at any trial and not have the silence be used to prove or imply that you're guilty. You have the right to see, hear, or question any witness that the prosecution intends to call against you. You have the right to have witnesses subpoenaed on your own behalf to testify or to present evidence at trial that you believe show a defense to the charge against you. And you have the right to require the prosecution prove each element of the charge of carrying a concealed weapon beyond a reasonable doubt at your trial. Do you have any questions about those rights?
No, ma'am.
Okay, are you currently on probation or on parole?
No.
Okay, are you employed?
No. I go to school.
You're in school?
Yeah.
Okay. Where are you in school?
At Unity, it's online.
Okay. And then what's your home address?
624 Leslie Street.
Okay, what's your phone number?
616-589-7335.
You're currently scheduled for a probable cause conference before Judge Anthony Flores. It's going to be on February 29th 2024 at 8:30 in the morning. You can appear via Zoom or in person for your probable cause conference. You have a preliminary examination before Judge Flores. It's going to be in person at the court March 7th, 2024 at 8:30. Did you
Okay.
receive your notice to appear and Zoom instructions?
Yes, ma'am.
The court will enter a plea of not guilty on your behalf. Have you ever missed court in the past?
No, ma'am.
Counsel, you can address bond.
Yes, briefly, he indicates he has no prior criminal convictions, and he has been charged before, but he appeared in court when he was ordered to do so. His entire life's from the Lansing area. His whole family's here, lives with his uncle, and as you noted, he's going to online school to continue his education. We'd ask for a PR bond. This offense is well serious, not classified as a violent offense.
Court will set bond at 1,000 personal recognizance. While on bond, you're not to use, purchase, or possess a firearm or any other dangerous weapon. You're not to use, purchase, or possess drugs or alcohol without a valid prescription. You're not to travel outside the state without prior approval of the court, and you're not to engage in any assaultive or threatening behavior. You must report to pretrial services within 48 hours of your release, okay?
Okay.
We are closed tomorrow for the holiday, but you need to contact them by Tuesday, okay? Do you have any questions?
No, ma'am.
Any additional matters for the record, counsel?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
You're all set, sir. On the record, in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Malith Renee Robinson, file number is 17-06059. Counsel appearance.
Good morning, Your Honor. Dwayne Silverthorne on behalf of Malith Renee Robinson, who is, I see, appearing on screen from the jail. She has requested a court-appointed attorney. My appearance here is limited to this arraignment today.
Okay, you're Malith Robinson?
Melissa, yes, ma'am.
It's Melitha, you said?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Today is the date that we are addressing an arraignment for a felony complaint. I have a complaint that alleges that on or about September 14, 2017 at 900 Long Boulevard, apartment 277, City of Lansing, Ingham County, State of Michigan, that you did allegedly on or about the 14th of September 2017 at the location of Speedway located at 6736 South Cedar Street, City of Lansing, Ingham County, State of Michigan. Commit the act in count 1 of financial transaction device illegal sale or use. The allegations are that you did use a financial transaction device knowing the device to have been obtained or held under circumstances prescribed by Michigan Compile Law 750.157N and or MCL 750.157P, and contrary to MCL 750.157Q. Count 1 is a felony. The maximum penalty is 4 years and or $5,000 in fines. Count 2 alleges that on September 14, 2017, at the location of 6825 South Cedar, City of Lansing, Ingham County, State of Michigan, that you did allegedly commit the act of financial transaction device illegal sale use, alleging that you did use a financial transaction device knowing the device to have been obtained or held under circumstances prescribed under MCL 750.157N and or MCL 750.157P, and contrary to MCL 750.157Q. Count 2 felony, maximum penalty 4 years and or $5,000 in fines. Count 3 alleges, again, financial transaction device illegal sale or use at a speedway location located on 6041 South Pennsylvania Street, City of Lansing, Ingham County, State of Michigan, allegedly occurring on September 17, 2017, that you used a financial transaction device for illegal sale or use, and allege that you did use a financial transaction device knowing the device to have been obtained or held under circumstances prescribed under MCL 750.157N and or MCL 750.157P, contrary to MCL 750.157Q. It's a felony, maximum penalty 4 years and or $5,000 in fines. There's an habitual offender fourth offense notice. It says, take notice that the defendant has previously been convicted of 3 or more felonies or attempts to commit felonies, and that on or about March 31st, 2011, she was convicted of the offense of larceny in a building in violation of MCL 750.360 in the 44th Circuit Court for Livingston County, State of Michigan, and that on or about May 19, 2011, she was convicted of the offense of uttering and publishing in violation of MCL 750.249 in the 56th Circuit Court of Eaton County, State of Michigan, and that on or about October 10, 2007, she was convicted of the offense of fleeing and eluding in violation of MCL 257.602A3A in the 30th Circuit Court for Ingham County, State of Michigan. Therefore, the defendant is subject to the penalties provided by MCL 769.12. That penalty is life if the primary offense has a penalty of 5 years or more, or 15 years or less if the primary offense has a penalty of under 5 years. The maximum penalty cannot be less than the maximum term for a first conviction. The primary offense maximum penalty is 4 years. So the habitual offender notice enhances the penalty to 15 years or less. Do you have any questions about the charges or the maximum penalty?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, you have the right to be represented by counsel. Mr. Silverthorne is representing you today for the purposes only of your arraignment, but you do have the right to have an attorney represent you throughout the pendency of this criminal matter, and you have the right to have an attorney represent you if you're going to be questioned by law enforcement. If you cannot afford to hire an attorney, a court-appointed counsel can be appointed at the expense of the public. Mr. Silverthorne did indicate that you are requesting a public defender, so the court will note that on your file. You have the right to remain silent. Anything that you say and anything that you put in writing can be used against you. You have the right to plead guilty. You can plead not guilty, or you can stand mute. If you stand mute, this matter will continue all the way to your trial date. You have the right to have a preliminary examination prior to trial because you are being charged with 3 felonies. Your preliminary examination is to be held within 21 days of the date that you're arraigned, unless you waive that timeline or the court finds good cause to go beyond that 21 days. The purpose of your preliminary examination is for you to execute your right to require the prosecution to put forth evidence to establish that they have probable cause sufficient that a crime was committed, and then sufficient probable cause to charge you with the crimes. Do you understand your rights so far?
Yes, ma'am.
You have the right to proceed all the way to a jury trial. You have the right to the presumption of innocence. You're innocent until proven guilty, and you have the right to a prosecutor prove your guilt at a jury trial by proving each element of the charges being brought against you beyond a reasonable doubt at your trial. You have the right to remain silent at your trial and not have the silence be used to prove or to imply that you're guilty. You have the right to confront, cross-examine, see, hear, or question any other witnesses that the prosecution intends to call against you. You have the right to have witnesses subpoenaed on your behalf to testify for you in court. And you also have the right to present evidence at court that you believe show a defense to the charges being brought against you. Do you have any questions about your rights?
No, ma'am.
Okay, you're currently scheduled for a probable cause conference before Judge Stacia Buchanan on February 29th, 2024 at 9:30 in the morning. You can appear via Zoom or in person for that probable cause conference. You have a preliminary examination that is scheduled in person before Judge Buchanan, March 7th, 2024 at 8:30. Do you have any questions so far?
No, ma'am.
And did you receive your notice to appear before Judge Buchanan?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and you received the Zoom instructions?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Are you currently on probation or on parole?
No, ma'am.
Do you have any other matters pending in court at this time?
No, ma'am.
The court's going to enter a plea of not guilty on your behalf. Are you employed?
Yes, I'm going through, I just finished chemo for breast cancer, but I have a job through Consumers Energy. And I'm off until my doctor gives me the approval, which I hopefully will be Tuesday when I go back to my oncologist to start back to work.
Okay, I'll note that in the file.
Thank you.
No problem. What's your home address, ma'am?
214 Culver, Culver Street.
Okay, what city is that in?
That's Albion, Albion, Michigan. 49224.
What's your phone number?
517-936-8720.
Counsel, you can address bond.
Yes, Your Honor. Standing before Your Honor is a 54-year-old person who she acknowledges she has a property crime record, but she indicates she's never been convicted of a violent criminal record. She's not a violent person. She's lived her entire life either in the Lansing or Alabama area. Specifically, she's getting treatment at Ford Hospital, the Camargo Center in Jackson, and as she indicated, she just finished chemo and she may need radiation or even surgery to prevent the spread of cancer. Given that this is not a property crime and given her health and the fact that she's now has a good job with consumers, if she can get her health in order, I would ask the court to consider a PR bond.
Thank you. Also, I think the age of the case taken into consideration. I don't see anything or any interaction with the criminal justice system on her criminal record since I think 2010. Is getting to court going to be an issue for you, ma'am?
No, ma'am. I have a car. Someone drives me.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
I'm going to set the bond at 1,000 personal recognizance. While out on bond, you have the following conditions, ma'am. You're not to use, purchase, or possess any drugs or alcohol unless you have a valid prescription for them. You're not to use, purchase, or possess a firearm or any other dangerous weapon. You're not to travel outside the state without approval of the court first. And you're going to need to report to pretrial services within 48 hours, okay?
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Do you have any questions?
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Good luck to you, ma'am.
Okay.
She has 2 files, Brian.
Oh, is there another file? There is another file. Okay, people of the state of Michigan versus Melithia Robinson. This is file number 17-06058. Let's see. Okay, Mr. Silverthorne, we already have your appearance for the purposes of the arraignment. Ms. Robinson, this felony complaint alleges that on or about September 1st, 2017 at 2815 Mercy Lane, Apartment F, City of Lansing, Ingham County, State of Michigan, that you did allegedly commit the act in count 1 of larceny in a building. The allegations is that you did commit the crime of larceny in a building by stealing a wallet with cash, credit cards, and identification, contrary to Michigan Compiled Law 750.360. Like count one is a felony, maximum penalty 4 years and or $5,000 in fines. And then the allegation in count two is that on or about September 2nd, 2017, that at the area of 3620 South Waverly Road, City of Lansing, Ingham County, State of Michigan, you committed the act in count two of financial transaction device, illegal sale or use, and that alleging that you did use a financial transaction device, knowing the device to have been obtained or held under circumstances prescribed under NCL 750.157N, or contrary to NCL 750.157Q. Count two is a felony, and the maximum penalty is 4 years and or $5,000 in fines. Again, as in the previous file, there is an habitual offender fourth offense notice in this file as well, which would enhance your penalty to 15 years or more because the primary offense is 4 years in this matter. Do you have any questions about those charges and the maximum penalty?
No, ma'am.
Okay, the rights that I went over in the previous file all apply to this as well. Do you have any questions about that?
No, ma'am.
You're scheduled in this matter for probable cause conference before me, Judge Kristen Simmons. It's going to be March 1st, 2024 at 8:30 in the morning. You can appear via Zoom or in person. Your preliminary examination is currently scheduled before me. It's going to be on March 8th, 2024 at 8:30 in the morning. I'm going to go ahead and advise you that because you have two cases that seem to be closely related, that it's likely that one of these judges, myself or Judge Flores, will be transferring one of the cases so that both cases are before the same judge, okay?
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Do you have any questions?
No, ma'am.
I'm going to set the same bond on this matter, 1,000 personal recognizance. All the previous bond conditions that I mentioned in the previous file will also apply on this file. Do you have any questions about your bond conditions?
No, ma'am. Thank you.
You're all set. Thank you. Okay, I have the older files, so they'll probably be transferred to me.
Thank you, Your Honor.
No problem.
That's my sin, my work. Yeah, so I thank you.
Okay, on the record in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Edward McBride in file number 23-02890, council appearance.
Morning, Your Honor. Dwayne, Dwayne Silverman from the Office of Public Defender on behalf of Edward Martez McBride, who's appearing on screen from the jail. My appearance today is limited to this arraignment. He has requested a court-appointed attorney.
The court will note that you're requesting court-appointed counsel and enter a plea of not guilty on your behalf. Okay, Mr. McBride, I have a felony complaint here. It alleges that on or about August 29, 2023, and or through August 30th, 2023, at the area of 1400 Georgetown Boulevard, Apartment 2, City of Lansing, Ingham County, State of Michigan, that you did allegedly on or about August 30th, 2023, commit the act in count 1 of domestic violence. The allegations that you did make an assault or assault and battery upon a Latoya Hegod, an individual with whom you had a dating relationship, and that this was contrary to MCL 750.812. Restitution may be ordered as this offense may have resulted in damage to another individual's property or physical injury or death to another individual. Count 1 is a misdemeanor. Maximum penalty, 93 days in jail and or $500 in fines, and a consecutive sentence may be imposed under the law if the assault was committed in a place of confinement. Count 2 alleges that on or about August 29, 2023, you committed the act of domestic violence, again alleging that you did make an assault on or an assault and battery upon a Latoya Hegod, an individual with whom you had a dating relationship, and that this was done contrary to MCL 750.812. Again, the maximum penalty, 93 days and or $500 in fines, and you're subject to a consecutive sentence if the assault was committed in a place of confinement, and restitution may be ordered in this offense if it resulted in damage to another individual's property or physical injury or death. Counts 1 and count 2 have a third offense notice attached. It says, take notice that the defendant was previously convicted of assaulting or assaulting and battering his or her spouse, former spouse, an individual with whom he had a dating relationship, or an individual with whom he had a child in common, or a resident or former resident of his household, or of knowingly assaulting a pregnant individual by violating MCL 750.812 on or about July 27, 2010, and by violating MCL 750.812 on or about May 26, 2017, and therefore upon conviction will be subject to an enhanced sentence under MCL 750.815. That enhances the sentence on or the maximum penalties on count 1 and 2 to 5 years and or $5,000 in fines, and a consecutive sentence may be imposed under MCL 750.506A if the assault was committed in a place of confinement. There is, however, attached to this complaint, a habitual offender third offense notice, and it says, take notice that the defendant was previously convicted of a felony. Let's see, it says twice previously convicted of a felony or an attempt to commit a felony, and that on or about April 25th, 2014, he was convicted of the offense of unarmed robbery in violation of Michigan Compiled Law 750.530 in the 14th Circuit Court for Muskegon, State of Michigan, and that on or about June 5th, 2019, he was convicted of the offense of domestic violence, third offense, in violation of Michigan Compiled Law 750.814 in the 14th Circuit Court for Muskegon, State of Michigan. Therefore, defendant is subject to the penalties provided by MCL 769.11 that would enhance your maximum sentence for a penalty of twice the maximum sentence on the primary offense or a lesser term. The maximum penalty cannot be less than the maximum term for the first conviction. Do you understand the charges and the maximum penalty and enhancements attached?
Yes.
Okay, you have the right to be represented by counsel. Mr. Silverthorne is representing you only for your arraignment. You do have the right to have an attorney represent you at each stage of the criminal prosecution, at all of your court appearances, and if you're questioned by law enforcement. If you can't afford to hire an attorney, the public defender's office can be appointed to represent you for that purpose. and the court has already noted that you are requesting the public defender's representation. You have the right to remain silent. Anything that you say and anything you put in writing can be used against you. You have the right to plead guilty. You can plead not guilty or you can stand mute. If you stand mute, this matter will continue all the way to your jury trial. You have the right to the presumption of innocence. So you're innocent until proven guilty. You have the right to require the prosecution prove your guilt at your jury trial. Prior to your jury trial, you do have the right to a preliminary examination because count 1 and 2 have been enhanced to felonies. And so you have the right to have a preliminary examination within 21 days of today's date, that being the date that you're arraigned. At the time of the preliminary examination, you have the right to require the prosecutor put forth evidence to establish that they have sufficient probable cause that a crime was committed, and then probable cause sufficient to charge you with the crimes. Do you have any questions so far?
No, ma'am.
Okay, the 21-day timeline for your preliminary examination can only be moved if you waive the timeline yourself or if the court finds good cause to go beyond that 21 days. You have the right again to your jury trial and the presumption of innocence and to be silent at your trial and not have silence be used against you. You have the right to see, hear, or question in court any of the witnesses that the prosecution has subpoenaed to testify against you. You have the right to have witnesses subpoenaed on your behalf to testify as to your defense and to present evidence that you believe show a defense to the charges being brought against you. Do you have any questions about those rights?
No.
Lastly, you have the right to require the prosecutor prove your guilt at trial by proving each element of the charges of domestic violence beyond a reasonable doubt. You're currently scheduled for probable cause conference before Judge Tony Flores, February 29, 2024 at 8:30 in the morning. You can appear via Zoom or in person for that. You have a preliminary examination in person before Judge Flores, March 7, 2024 at 8:30. That's in person. Do you have a copy of your notice to appear and Zoom instructions?
Yeah, I have it right here.
Okay. Are you currently on probation or on parole?
I'm not on anything.
Are you currently employed?
Yes.
Where is that?
I have to be there tomorrow morning at 6. I'm hoping to be there tomorrow morning at 6.
Was that my question?
Yes, I'm employed.
I said where?
Centel in Muskegon.
What do you do there?
I make parts for John Deere.
Okay.
Paint
And what's your home address?
2304 Howden.
In Muskegon?
Yes.
What's your phone number?
231-730-6279.
Do you have any other matters pending?
She said,
Do you have any other matters pending in court?
Oh, no.
Counsel, you can address bond.
Yes, briefly. He's a father of three, lives with his mother in Muskegon. He has no current relationship with Latoya Haygood, and he has no reason to come to Lansing to have a relationship with Latoya Haygood. He was upfront with me indicating that he had served time for a prior felonious assault, which was probably one of the offenses listed in the habitual. He indicated that he always shows up for his court dates. He's very, very motivated to stay out of trouble and be able to go to work so that he can support his family. And again, I didn't discuss it with him, but I believe he had accepted GPS tether if the court felt that that was necessary to ensure his return or his whereabouts so that he doesn't come anywhere near Lansing until he has to come for court. Thank you, Your Honor.
The court does believe it's necessary. I reviewed his prior criminal history. Most of them violent convictions. This is an incident allegedly occurring in 2023, and I don't see any allegations of any continued interaction with the alleged victim in this matter. The court will grant the request for personal recognizance bond. It will be with GPS tether. Bond is set at 1,500 personal recognizance with GPS tether. You're not to be within 1,500 feet of wherever Latoya Haygood is. That's where she lives, where she works, where she goes to school, or any other business that she's handling. Do you understand that?
Yes.
You're not to have contact directly or indirectly with the alleged victim in this matter. Do you understand that?
I understand, ma'am.
Okay. You're not to cause anybody to have contact on your behalf. You understand that as well?
I understand.
Okay. You okay?
Yeah, I'm okay, ma'am.
Oh, okay. While out on bond, you're not to engage in any assaultive or threatening behavior. You're not to use, purchase, or possess drugs or alcohol unless you have a valid prescription for the drug. You're not to have a firearm or any other dangerous weapon in your possession. You need to report to pretrial services within 48 hours of your release, and you're not to travel outside of state without prior approval of the court. Do you have any questions about your bond?
Okay, say that again. What you just said again, ma'am?
No problem. While out on bond, in addition to the no contact order in place for the protection of Latoya Haygood, you're not to use, purchase, or possess alcohol or drugs unless you have a valid prescription. Do you understand that?
Okay. No, I thought I
You're
heard
not to
something else,
travel.
but yeah.
Okay, I'm not finished. You're not to travel out the state without prior approval of the court. That means you got to get permission from the court before you can leave the state. Do you understand that?
Okay.
You're not to possess a firearm or other dangerous weapon while on bond. Do you understand that?
I understand.
And you need to report to pretrial services within 48 hours of your release.
What is pretrial service? What is that's what I was trying to ask. What was that? What is that?
Yep, the jail will get you the information on how you call them, okay?
I have to call them, come here too?
No, you just call them on the phone. You're gonna call them on the phone by Tuesday, okay?
Okay.
And the jail will get you that information. Do you have any other questions?
No, ma'am.
Okay, any additional matters for the record, counsel?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Thank you. Good luck to you, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. That's all I have.
All right, good day, Your Honor. I go to the
Same to
55th
you.
now.
Thank you. Good luck with that.